All right, gang, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to do our best to end the debate. Should you invest or should you flip slash churn and burn? This is more of a video if you're a vendor or a Pokemon business or thinking about getting into Pokemon as a business, or you're thinking about investing, or maybe you just started investing. This is going to be a great video for you. So let's start talking about investing. So I've been in Pokemon investing for 3 years now. I've been a Pokemon business for 1 year. We are a 5-figure Pokemon business based out of Burlington, North Carolina. So I have a little bit more experience with investing. I bought Evolving Skies at like $450 to $500 a booster box, and like an idiot sold one of them at $1,000. So just to give you an idea, like I've made some mistakes. Okay. I also got like 2 cases of Fusion Strikes Fusion Strike booster boxes at MSRP, which I sold one of those I think at like 300, and one booster box. I only opened the case and sold one booster box. Maybe I probably shouldn't have opened the case. Well, whatever. All right. So let's just start off with investing. So investing is a lot less work. Think about it. It's kind of like stocks. It's buy and hold, right? Just never sell, essentially. Think about it, right? If you got the first edition booster box, you never sold, and it's 30 years later now, look at all the appreciation you achieved, essentially. Same thing with the stock market. If you bought the S&P 500 30 years ago and held it through, the '08 crash and the COVID crash, you're up a crap ton. Essentially, you're letting time do its thing, just like you would in the stock market. I think that makes sense. I think a lot of people understand what I mean by that. You're basically just letting your time go to other things. Sure, it might take a little bit of time to stay up for a product drop, or sitting in Pokemon Center, or driving to your local card store and buying a case of ETBs or booster boxes or whatever it might be. But that doesn't take nearly as much time as it does to constantly keep flipping stuff or churning and burning. So you have a way more free time. You can offload stuff really easily when you do want to sell it, when you're done, and when you want to move on from your product to a different product. It's relatively easy. You can go to pretty much any card store or anyone that likes cards, and right now they'll probably give you anywhere between 70 and 85%, depending what it would be. So it's pretty easy to sell. I mean, if you want to sell yourself, then you get into the churning and burning, trying to build an account and stuff. We'll talk about that a little later. But it would be kind of hard to sell it yourself. But if you do have an established account and everything, you can pretty much get 100% of market. Unless you're selling on like eBay or TCG Player, you're going to get like 13 to 15% fees or whatever. So just keep that in mind as well. But again, you have your free time. You can go to work, go to your 9 to 5, or run your business if it's a different business. If you have time-intensive hobbies, you can go do your hobbies. Whatever you do in your free time, it gives you that free time. I think really that's the biggest benefit to it. I don't really know how many other benefits I could think of at the top of my head. If you know any, drop a comment below. I'll chit-chat with you guys. Same with the rest of the video. If you agree or disagree with me, drop a comment below or join my Discord. There's a link in the bio, depending what platform you're on. It might be a link tree. Join the Discord and chit-chat with us. I will absolutely talk with you, and hopefully you change my mind or bring an idea that I didn't think about. So the negatives to this: if you're a business or you're a vendor, you're not churning and burning in this regard. So you either have dead product. It's not really dead product, but it's sitting product. So you have dollars basically taken on the sidelines. So, I mean, with investing, right, it can go sideways for 10 years. Like, we have a lost decade in investing already in the stock market. We've had lost time in Pokemon way before I got into it, where, what was it, Evolutions, like multiple years after it was out of print, nobody wanted it. Same thing, I think, like XY stuff, black and white stuff, like nobody wanted this stuff. And now it's just stupid expensive. So there are a lot of periods of time where things just go sideways. And, if you're a business and say you buy Destin Rivals at $600 and a major reprint comes, well, if you come into any trouble, now you have to sell that at a loss. You have to fire sell that at a loss. And if you're fire selling it, oh man, that's rough. So yeah, you really don't want to be sitting on stuff too long. The only time I think it would really be okay is like right now, stuff that's getting ready to go out of print, like Paldea Evolved, Paldean Fates 151, because we're kind of, I mean, I don't want to say the G word. I really do not want to say the G word, but we're almost guaranteed we're not going to get any more of that stuff. So like I'm trying to hold as much as I can, and it's honestly moving slow. That's why I pretty much have stuff at market, because I know as soon as the rotation window closes and we're not getting any, I mean, 151's going crazy. Paldean Fates is going to go crazy. Like, it's just pretty obvious at that point. So I guess in that regard, as a business, I am investing with business dollars. So I keep things separate between personal dollars for Pokemon investing and then business dollars for, churning and burning. That's what I personally do. But stuff like that I actually have as an investment within the business, if that makes sense. So again, if you're not churning and burning, your dollars aren't really working for you. You just have money sitting in product, which is risky, because the longer you sit on stuff, the more time it can go down or up. But, stuff like Destined Rivals, odds are we're going to get a reprint, or Phantasmal Flames, odds are we're going to get a reprint. So as a business, you just want to get that in, take your 10, 15, 20%, whatever it is, and turn that into something else, essentially. At least that's my thought process. So again, another negative for investing, you usually start off small. I mean, unless you are a high worth or a high net worth individual or whatever you want to call them. Usually people start off really small. I know I did. I started off with 151 stuff. I mean, I did my master set. I started, buying bundles and stuff to put in the closet. And then I looked back, and thankfully I had a good buddy in one of the Discord groups I'm in. Shout out Billy, you know who you are. And he basically was like, yo, if you're going to start doing this, you need to buy Evolving Skies. So I bought, the Evolving Skies booster boxes. I bought a bunch of loose packs and ETBs, Pokemon Center ETBs. Like an idiot, I sold those too early. But, just stuff like that. I bought 151 Japanese stuff. And obviously that turned out super well. I mean, it's like $220 a box right now or something like that. But it starts off slow, and then once you kind of figure out, like, hey, I can pick what's a good set, what's not really a great set, or what I don't think is going to be a great set, or you can just, do the S&P of Pokemon, just buy a case of each or a box of each, depending on what your budget is. But again, it starts off super slow. Again, just like the stock market. You don't see compounding. Well, you can't really compound gains in Pokemon, which I guess would be another negative, but you don't see like a stockpile. It doesn't look like much. If you only have $1,000 and you go buy Fusion Strike, well, you're tied to whatever Fusion Strike does. But if you have $10,000 and you buy Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, and whatever, and you can diversify a little bit, some months like Fusion Strike might go up 100% next month, and Lost Origin might only go up 5%. You know what I mean? So you're going to see a lot more different in gains when you have more money. And then you can also, if you have a $10,000 and you can buy 10 Fusion Strikes, well, when Fusion Strike doubles, you're sitting pretty nice. You doubled your money because you bought 10 Fusion Strikes. Like, it's just, everybody knows how money works, hopefully. America these days, I don't know, man. You're also kind of I don't want to say tied to, but you're kind of limited on what you can buy Pokemon product-wise if you're trying to do investments. So if you're a sealed investor, which I highly recommend, if you're going to be an investor, you really need to stick to booster boxes, ETBs, booster bundles, PC ETBs, maybe very exclusive collection boxes that have exclusive promos. Those tend to be hard to get, and, collection boxes are just weird. They're odd shapes. They take up a lot of space. And then when you go to offload them, if you're trying to ship them, they're hard to ship. They take a lot of weird boxes, and they cost a lot to ship. So normally I would just say stick to booster boxes, ETBs, booster bundles, and PCTBs, really. Slabs, you're going to be a little different. If you're investing in singles, you're going to want to do slabs instead of, raw singles. And slabs, you're going to want to stick to low pop PSA 10s, really. Hard to hit low pop PSA 10s. So in modern stuff, you're looking at like pretty much the illustration rares of how they evolved, the Magikarp, the Tyranitar, the Raichu, some iconic cards, the Umbreon from Prismatic, maybe the Charizard from Paldean Fates, the Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates. You're looking at cards like that. You're really just looking for the most iconic cards from the set or the generation. And yeah, I mean, slabs are way riskier. They go up and down all the time, especially when it's in a PSA 10. Like the Magikarp is like, what, $300 raw, roughly $250, $300 raw, but the PSA 10's like $3,000 or something like that. So, you know, if we come into a market crash, that PSA 10 Magikarp can fall a crap ton, and you can lose a lot of money that way. So just be careful if you're buying slabs. That's my cautionary tale, I guess. Here's my shameless plug. I'm starting to do every video now. Head on over to my website, maxpacks.com. Get yourself some sealed Pokemon cards. We got English and Japanese product. That's really the only way to support me at the moment, because I fund this all myself. I still work a full-time job, and it's a lot of work. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. All right, so let's talk about the churn and burn. This is great for businesses and vendors. Really, if you just want to get involved in the hobby, or maybe you want to raise some capital, definitely recommend churning and burning. It is definitely harder than it looks. This is also good if you have low starting capital, just because you're trying to build capital. Again, if you can churn $1,000 and make 10%. Okay, well, now you made $100. Okay, now churn $1,100 and make 10%. Well, you know, and then you just keep doing that over and over and over again. If you can do that, you know, once a week, that's insane. You know, you're going to have a large pool of money or a huge collection at the end of that. I'll mention it again. Dead money or product sitting is not working for you. So you do not want to hold on to things super long. You want to get, you know, if you can buy something at 70% and flip it at 85%, that's a huge win. Get it off the books. Use that money, that 85%, whatever it is, whatever that dollar amount is, and go buy something else so you can put it in your display case, or you can put it on your website, or put it up on Facebook, whatever you want to do, and then churn that again. And then you're always looking for something to buy. The other nice thing is you can churn pretty much anything. You can churn collection boxes, ETBs, booster boxes, bulk. I sell a crap ton of bulk. Granted, I make like 75 cents an order, but the return on that is insane. And say I make $5 a day. Okay. But I'm constantly churning. That's $5 more than I had before. You see what I'm saying? It's slow. The percentages are huge, but it's very slow, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. The other nice things I would say is you get constant exposure. You get to grow your name, grow your business to new customers. Makes you more well-known in the hobby. If you sell on eBay, if you sell on TCG Player, if you sell locally at conventions or card shows, like people are putting a name to your face. If you're selling online, just trying to put out content and, you know, constantly churning and burning, saying, hey, I'm buying at 75%, which, hey, I am buying at 75%, all Scarlet and Violet and Mega Evolution, Mega Block, I guess, if you want to call it that, 75%. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or Discord if you're trying to sell to me. Just really stuff like that. And the more orders you can get, the more you can churn, the more, you know, you're interacting with other people and other people get to interact with you and your business, the better. You grow your name. So let's talk about some negatives to churning and burning. It takes a crap ton of work and a crap ton of time. Like I said, selling bulk. Yeah, I make a big percentage on it, but it takes time to do each one of those individual orders, and I make 75 cents an order. So, you know, if I get 5 orders a day, which I got 5 orders today, it took me like, 15 minutes? That's not great. That's $20 an hour? That's not that great. But it's getting me money back, and it's, in theory, getting my name out to new customers around the world, or the country, not the world. And hopefully those people become customers when they see my packaging, when they see my whatever order, my poster card, whatever. Another negative is you are literally trading time for dollars. You have to constantly be looking for the next thing and constantly be trying to sell stuff. You have to constantly be dealing with customers, and sometimes it just gets to be a pain in the butt. You know, you have to deal with people, and sometimes people are just a pain in the butt. Sometimes people don't want to sell. Sometimes people are rude. Sometimes you're not in a good mood and you're rude, and then, you know, you just lost a customer, which nobody wants to do. It happens. A lot of times, if you're trying to constantly churn and burn, you're kind of banking on the market not tanking, really. That's mostly for singles. Like, think about it. Ascended Heroes just dropped. If you're trying to churn and burn and people bring you Ascended Hero singles and you buy that thinking you're going to be able to churn and burn it real fast, you better churn and burn that crap real fast, because those are going to tank 50%. And that kind of goes with the next point I have. You need a lot more market knowledge, singles knowledge, and sealed knowledge, especially if you're doing it with singles and graded stuff. You need to be able to how to tell if a card's fake, if a slab's fake, if sealed product's fake, or maybe it looks rewrapped. You need to, there's a lot of things you need to be paying attention to do it right, and then be able to disclose that to the customer as well, because at the end of the day, that falls on you. And if you're churning and burning a lot of stuff, it is easy to get lost in the sauce, as I'd like to say. It's easy to get lost in the sauce. And the sad thing is that that's happened to me before. It happens to all of us. At one point I bought a PSA 10 slab and it was fake. Thankfully, I wasn't lost in the sauce at that time, but I was able to tell it was fake, and I reached out, and that was a disaster. The guy tried to say that I was scamming him, but we went through that whole process, and I got my money back, and all was happy and gay in the world. So yeah, I mean, there's always people trying to rip you off, but you got to know what you're dealing with, because once you buy it, it's yours, and then you get stuck with it if it's fake. You can't try to pass it on to somebody else, because it's your name at the end of the day. It's your responsibility. So like I said earlier in the video, guys, if you come up with any other, positives or negatives to either just investing or churning and burning, drop me a comment below or join the Discord and chit chat with me. I'm sure other people in the Discord will chit chat too and throw in their points. Thanks for watching. That's all I got for you guys. If you like the video, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, help me get to 1,000 subscribers so we can get monetized. I would love to start doing giveaways with whatever income the YouTube account makes. I will put directly into a giveaways every month. So we make $1,000, we'll do a Fusion Strike booster box giveaway or whatever somebody wants, Like I might just run a video and be like, comment what you want this month's giveaway to be. We have a budget of $250, whatever it is. But that's all I got for you guys. This is Joe, dipping out.